Hello everyone. So in this session, we will start with the classes and objects, and then we will discuss exception handling, and then we will discuss file operations. So in this session, we will cover three topics. First topic, classes and objects. Classes and objects are the part of object-oriented programming language. Second, we will discuss exceptional handling, like how we can handle the errors. And third, we will discuss file operations, like how we can perform, how we can open files, how we can close files, how we can write into files, how we can perform basic operations with the help of the files which are in your operating system. Okay, so here we will cover these topics. So let's start with the classes and objects. Classes and objects, or we can say Python. Python is mainly the part of object oriented programming language. So, what is object-oriented programming language, or we can say OOPS? OOPS is like the main concept of any programming language. So, object-oriented means everything in Python, like almost everything in Python is like an object and classes. Okay, for example, here we have this class and object. Now, what is class and object? Classes you can think of it like a blueprint of any program, and objects is like a instead of that class. Okay. So basically, class is like a blueprint which consists of some methods and attributes. And then object is like an instance of the class. Okay, now how to create a class, or what are the benefits of using classes and objects? Okay, that we will see. Basically, inside OOPS, we have many concepts. We have classes, we have objects, we have inheritance, we have polymorphism, we have abstraction, we have data hiding, etc. But this is Python core. So in this Python core, we will only study like classes and objects, like how we can create classes, how we can create objects. And the inheritance, polymorphism, or advanced concept of OOPS that will be covered in the Python advance. Okay. Now, how to create classes? So here, or what is like the syntax of creating a classes. So here we can mention class, and then you can mention your class name. Let's say my class. So this is name of my class. Then here I can define a variable x equal 5. So this x equal 5 is inside my class. So this is like a basic syntax of the class. We have class as a keyword here, then name of your class, and then semicolon, and then here we have this indentation, and then whatever you want to put inside a class. Okay, this is how we can create class. Now this is like a blueprint. Okay, we cannot use class like this. Like we cannot access this x equal 5 without creating an object. So that is why we have to create an object. So here we can create object. So here we can mention, let's say object 1 equal. Then we can call your class name, which is my class. Okay, now this one is your object of your my class. Basically, whatever the functions or whatever the methods we are going to use inside a class, we can access using this particular keyword, this particular variable. Basically, it is a variable, but we can say it is an object because in this variable, we are storing class. Okay, like your entire class. So here, this is a variable. Now, if you want to access this variable, then you have to use this particular variable. Okay, like this particular object. So this is how we are creating instance of a class. Then we can simply print, if you want to print x equal 5, then we can simply print, you can call your object1 dot x. Okay, simple. If I run this, you can notice we have this 5 here. Okay, so this is like a basic, very basic syntax of your class and object. Okay.
Now another example. Now in the classes and objects, we have one more keyword which is known as init. Okay, underscore underscore init, then underscore underscore. Okay, so let me give you an example. For example, let's say I have this class person. Okay, now here I'm creating a variable like a function which is def underscore underscore init. Okay, and then here I'm taking name and age of that person. Okay, then I am using self dot name equal your name and self dot age equal age. Then we can create the object of this particular class. Let's say object one equal. Now you can call your class name, which is person in our case, and then parenthesis. And then we can access these elements. Now inside person, we are asking for name and age. So here you have to mention name of that person. Let's say John and comma age. Let's say 23 or 25. Then we can simply print object one dot name and print object one dot age. Okay, so if I run this, you will notice John and then age 25. Okay, now what is this init and what is this self here? First of all, this is a function, right? We are creating a simple function def init. So now this function is not a function actually. Now you are using this function or you are creating this function inside your class. So that is why now this function is called method. So whatever the function you are creating, but you are creating inside a class, that function is now known as method. You can see it is like a different name of a function. Basically, it is a function for us, for everyone, but actually we are using this inside class. So that is why it is known as method. Same as if you are using any variable, like any variable x equal 5, this one is known as attribute. Basically, it is a variable for us, but we are using inside class. So that is why it is known as attribute. So that is why class is like the combination. We can say class consists of methods and attributes. So this simple function is now a method. Now, what is the use of this init? What is like the use case of init? Now init is again, it is like a you can think of a decorator, or we can say a function. Okay, basically a function which is used to assign values like name or age. And whenever you are using init, means you are initializing this particular function. Init means initializing. So whenever we are using init, which means, now let's think of another function here. Let's say def, let's say func. We have this function here. Okay, and the purpose of this function is to print this one. Okay, now this is the function inside the class. Now we have two functions. First, this is like a common name of a function. And secondly, we have this init. So whenever we are using init, init is used for initializing a particular function. So whenever you call your, or whenever your object uses a class, so this init function, this will automatically trigger. Okay, and with this, and if you want to use this function, then you have to call this function with the help of your object. For example, you can now use here uh, simple object dot func. Now you can see the difference. This is also a function. This is also a function. But for this function, you need to call. Okay, you are calling this function. You can see here func. But this function, I'm not calling it anywhere. Right. So this one, no need to call. Or we can say this will automatically run when you use your object or your class. Okay, so this function will automatically run, or we can say initialize whenever you use your class. Okay, that is like the difference in init and func. So this one is automatically trigger and this one is you need to call. If you are not calling, then this will not going to run. Okay, like for example, if I run this, you can see we have John or 25. We don't have this line here. But when I call this function here, which is object one dot func,
Then you can see we have this line here. Okay, we have this. Yeah. Do we have any comment? No, we can only have one init function. Okay, so this is how we can like call, like we can use init. And now what is the meaning of self here? We have the self here. Basically, you can see name and age. These are simple parameters. Like, right. For example, if we are creating any simple function, let's say func, then here we have the simple parameter, name and age. So these are simple name and age. But what is the use of the self here? So basically, this self function is used to help your object to access these variables like name or age. That is like the main use of the self. The self is used to represent whatever the instance we have, like let's say we have the self. Now, with the help of self, we can access this name and we can access this age. That is the whole meaning of self. Okay, we can whatever the attributes we have, like we have these attributes, we have methods also, like we have function inside function. So we can access any kind of attribute, any kind of method of a class in Python with the help of this self keyword. So that is why self keyword is also important. Okay, so overall this init function is called automatically when every time your class trigger or your or whatever whenever you want to use your class. Now here you can see whenever I'm calling my class person, now inside person I am mentioning my name, which is your name or and your age. Okay, so this I am mentioning inside the class, not inside any function name. Okay, so that is why we can use init for automatically trigger any function. It is not compulsory to use init, but whenever you are using any class and there's any function or method you want to trigger, then you can use init like keyword here or function here. Okay. Now another example. Here we have to use self. Okay. So you can see this is a function inside class. So once here we are calling this function, and whenever we are calling this function, so this line will be triggered. Otherwise, if you remove this one, then this line will not be triggered. Okay. But this function will automatically initialize or run because of this init function. Okay. And here you can see we are also using self here. So self here, because now this function is not taking any parameter or not taking any argument, but still we are using self here. So self keyword is mainly for accessing your elements, like your attributes, your functions, your whatever your line, with the help of object. Okay, like this object, whatever this object is, this can access your name, your age, and your this function with the help of this self keyword. Okay, that is like the main use of self. Is it clear? Any doubt? Any question? Okay. So another example, let's say we have a class with the name person. Okay. Now here we are creating a function with init initialize function. Okay, which take, let's say, name and age. Now one more thing, instead of self is just a keyword. Instead of this self, you can use any keyword here. For example, any object or any word you can mention, any word. Now you can use this any word for your name and age, for identification of a name and age. Okay, like this, any word dot name equal name. Same as any word dot age equal age. Like this one. So self is just a keyword here. Instead of self, you can use any keyword, any word, your keyword of your choice. But every programmer, most of the developers, they use self here. Okay, self is like a predefined keyword for this specific purpose. That is why we use self here. Otherwise, in place of self, you can use any keyword. Okay. So here we are taking self dot name and self dot age. Okay, so self is just a parameter, and in place of self, we can take any kind of uh, keyword or word. Then we can create another function, def funcy here. Now let's say here we are taking uh, ABC, let's say. Okay, now here we can simply print hello, my name is, and we can use dot name. And here we can use and age is abc dot age. Okay, now you can see instead of self, here I'm using ABC. So you can use any, any keyword here. Okay, now here we can create the class, sorry, the object, let's say P1. And here you can mention your person, your class name, and your name or age. Okay, let's say Tom 25. Okay, now we can simply call or we can simply print P1 dot name. Same as we can simply print P1 dot age. Okay, now you can see top 25. Same as you can call your function here. Function, let's say you can call P1 dot function and P1. Sorry, we have to provide self here. Mhm. One second. I think we can use easy here. Yeah, this one is the syntax. So here we have this ABC. So again, instead of self, you can use any of the keyword here. Same as now here you can notice this name and this age is coming from the previous function. And here we are accessing because of this self keyword. Basically, don't get confused here. In place of ABC, you can use self here. Okay, whatever the keyword you can use self here, you can use ABC here, you can use any keyword. But here we are accessing name and age because of only because of this ABC keyword, or we can say self keyword. Okay, and then here we are accessing the element. Like, hello, my name is Tom and age is 25. Okay, means we are calling this function, fancy. And actually, this function is not taking any kind of parameter. ABC is like a parameter. We can say a default, not a default parameter, like a parameter which is used for accessing name and age. And again, instead of ABC, you can use self here, which is the actual uh, like parameter for accessing the elements, or we can say attributes and functions. Okay, self dot age or name. So this will give you the same output. ABC is like a keyword. It is same as self. And what is the use of self? Self is mainly used for accessing your elements. Elements means your variables, your functions inside your class. Okay, that is like the main purpose of self. Now, instead of self, you can use any keyword. ABC, you can use hello, you can use whatever you can use. Okay, whatever you can use. But you have to mention this whatever you are mentioning here before your element, like whatever dot name and whatever dot age. Now this whatever or whatever like this keyword is mainly used for accessing your name and your age of your previous this function. Okay, because here we are also using self, and self is mainly used for accessing your like your attributes and functions within the class. Okay, so instead of writing any of the keyword, you can use self, simply self, because self is like a actual keyword we use for accessing the elements. Okay, so self is like the keyword which you can access.
which you can use to access your like your names, your attributes, your methods, your variables within the function. No, no. This fancy self is like a parameter. It is compulsory to provide this parameter inside your function. Without this function, if I remove self, you will get an error. Okay. Because without self, you cannot access the name or age. Without self, you cannot access name and age. Okay, of the previous function. So that is why self is compulsory. And self is like a just a parameter which don't need any value or don't need any we can say any argument. So parameter is like this self is a kind of a parameter which is mainly for accessing name and age. And here we are calling, this is my object, and here I'm calling my function. Okay, and here I'm passing nothing because we are not mentioning anything here. For example, if I mention a here, so now here we have to provide the value of a, let's say 12. So 12 is like the argument of parameter a. But if I'm not providing any kind of argument here or any kind of parameter, so whenever I'm calling my function, so this doesn't need any kind of argument. Okay, for now think of a this function def function, let's say, and here we have this print hello, and then we call your function. Okay, so basically this function and this function, the meaning is same only. Likewise, this function, this is empty here. We don't have any parameter here. Same as we don't have any argument here. Same as in this function, we don't have any parameter which required any argument. But self is something which is compulsory to put inside your class because without self, you cannot access this function. Okay, like your object. This P1 is your object, and this object cannot access your function or your name or your age. So because of this self keyword, your object P1 is accessing your name, your age, and your function, your function. Okay, so this is how this whole program is working. Any questions? Okay, so classes like they are like the blueprint of your functions and your methods. Okay, like if I want to give an example, think of a blueprint of any house, okay, of any building. That is a blueprint. Okay, where you mention everything, like where you want to keep your, where you want, how many rooms you want to build, where you want to keep your rooms, your equipments, etc. That is like a blueprint. Objects with the help of objects, you can think of the actual material you need to build a house. That is an object. Without object, you cannot access uh, your blueprint or your classes. Okay, so think of like a blueprint of any house. Okay, you are creating a blueprint, you are mentioning this and that, everything. And then how you are accessing, how you are building with the help of this object, P1. So object, without object, you cannot use class again. And again, without class, you cannot have object. So they are like interrelated. Okay, so blueprint classes are like the blueprint which consists of your methods. Methods are nothing, just functions and attributes, means your variables. And then we have this object, which is the instance of the class. Like how you can access your elements of the class with the help of object. Okay. Is it clear? Any other questions? Okay. Now how we can modify your object properties. For example, I want to modify age here. Okay. Now here age is 25. So here I can simply write modify the object properties. So I can mention P1 dot age equal, let's say 42. So this is how I can modify. Now, if I print p1.age, so you will notice before it was 25, now it is 42. So you can even modify your ages, like your elements inside your classes. Same as you can delete your elements. Okay, delete. For example, again, I want to delete age. So here you can mention del p1.age. If I try to print p1.age again, so this will throw the error. Okay, you can see person object has no attribute age because it is removed. Okay, so this is how we can delete any attribute or any element of the class. Now, how to delete the object? So this is deleting the attribute of the class. And this is deleting the object. What is object here? P1. P1 is object. Why it is object? Because it is storing a class, person. Person is a class here. Okay. Now, how to remove it? So we can simply use del P1. Okay. Now, if I use P1 here, let's say print P1 dot age, or let's say name here. So this will throw the error. Okay. Person has no attribute, which is age. Okay. Even if you use P1, if you print P1 as object, so this will also throw an error. Okay. Now again, if you want to create an empty class, so here you can use class, let's say my class. Here you can use pass keyword, pass. Okay, so this is how you can create an empty class. Like you want to use a class, and right now you don't know or you are not sure like how what to mention in your class. So you can leave your class empty like using pass keyword. If you remove this pass, now this will throw an error because this is not how you leave your class empty. You have to mention pass here. That is compulsory. Okay. So any questions up to here? So this is how we can create classes. This is how we can create the objects, how we can use init keyword, which is very important, how we can use self, how we can modify the objects, how we can delete the objects or the attributes of the class. Now, any questions? So this is like the basic of classes and objects, or we can say OOPS concept, which is object oriented programming concept. It is like a very important concept of each and every programming language like Java or Python or C, etc. Okay. So this is just the basics of OOPS concept. Inside OOPS, we have many other concepts like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and many concepts. Okay, that we will cover in the Python Advance. Now we can move to exceptional handling, like how we can handle the errors. So for handling the errors, here we have two keywords here, which is try and except. Okay, try is it is like a try or except block, we can say. So this block lets you test a block of code for errors. Second, we have accept, which is this will lets you handle the error. And then we have else block, the else block. So now else block lets you execute code when there is no error. And then there's one more block, which is finally. Finally block, which this will lets you execute code regardless of any error in your code. Okay. Okay, so basically we use try or accept, but you can also use the else block or you can also use the finally block. Okay, now what is this exceptional handling? Let's say you are creating a program, okay, for calculating anything, or you are writing any program or application. And let's say your program keep on throwing any technical error. Okay, now you are let's say I am the user which is using a program. And if any user, let's take an example. If I am mentioning here x equal hello. Now I want to convert this hello or this x into any number, into integer. Okay, basically here I am performing typecasting. Or let's say here you are asking for user age. And here the user is applying, mentioning any name. Let's say name or John. Means you are asking for the age and the user is like mentioning their number. Sorry, their name here. Now name is a string here and here you are taking input as a number. For example, you are performing any operation with their age, like any mathematical operation. So now you cannot perform any mathematical operation with the help of this string. So in this case, your program will throw error. Okay, now if your program will throw error, so that would be a technical error. And that user, a simple layman user, cannot understand that technical error. So that is why you have to show your user that you have entered the string and we are asking for the number. So please mention the number. So this is how you are handling the error gracefully. Okay, so you have to show what kind of like if any user is like putting anything or there's any error because of any particular reason, then you have to throw an error and that error will explain like what is the problem or in a very simple terms here. Okay, means we want to not to break our code because once any error came, the entire flow of your code breaks. So that is why we are using exceptional handling first for uh, for the user experience, and secondly for the continuous flow of your program. Okay, that is why we are using exceptional handling. Now how to use it? Simple, we can use try or except block. Okay, for example, let's say here I have this try. So basically here I have this try block and then accept. Now here I'm using print x. Now x is not defined. Okay, so try will check for a code of block. If everything is right, try block will execute. And if there's any error in your code, then accept block will execute. Okay, so basically here we can mention. So if there's no error in your code, okay, then this try block will execute. Otherwise, if there's any error, then this except block will execute. So now this line of code will execute. Okay, like an exception occurred. Now if I simply use, let me show you, without try or except, let's say print x. Now this will throw an error. Okay, because x is not defined. So this will throw an error. Now you can see this error is a technical error. Okay, now you can understand, I can understand, but our user, okay, that he or she cannot understand. And why are we doing this all? Because of the user, because of the user experience. Okay, you are not creating a program for yourself. Okay, you are creating for the users. So now this is a program which your user cannot understand, like a error which your user cannot understand. Okay, that is why we use try or except block for handling the errors. Okay, so here we have this try and print x and except an exception occurred. 1 second. Okay, so if I run this code here, you can see an exception occurred. So previously we are having this error, but now here we are having this just a single line.
an exception occurred. That's it. Okay. So any questions? Like why do we use try or accept? Any question in the syntax? So this is one exception. We can even create many exceptionals. For example, here, let's say here I'm using try, print X here. And you can see without except, you cannot use try here. Okay, if I use try without except, so this will throw the error. Okay, because this is not completed. So without except, you cannot use try block. So it is like a pair you have to use. Then here, let's say I'm using except. Now here I can raise any error. So there are two types of errors in Python. First error is building errors, which are like pre-built in the Python we can use. And second error is we can create our own errors. Okay, so here we can use, let's say, name error. And then I can print something if this error occurred. Okay, I can use variable x is not defined. Okay, this is the error. Else, I can use except another except here. Let's say except. Let's say print something else wrong, like this. Um, Case-based exception, like you can simply, if you want to use, you can use exceptional in the with the help of if, elif, or else statement. If you want case-based exceptions. Okay, like in the, I think in the C language, we have case block, but in the Python, we have only try or except. Okay. So if I run this one, you will notice name error, which is variable x is not defined. Okay, so this is a name error here. Then let's say if I am defining this x here, x equal 5. Now everything is okay. We have this x, we can print x. Now this line will execute, which is print x, which is 5. Okay, now let's say if x is empty here, then we have this another error, which is something else wrong. Basically invalid syntax. Okay, we can also create another exceptional for the invalid syntax, like a syntax error. Okay, like this one, syntax error. And here we can use print syntax error. Okay, is this some problem? Yeah. And if I run this one, you can see we have this syntax error. Same, if I write here 5, then this line of code will be executed, which is try block. So we can create many except conditions here. It depends on your use case, where you are using or what kind of problem you are fixing. Apart from the excepts, we can also use else statement. Let's say else print nothing went wrong. Now this else statement only be executed if this this try block is execute. So this will execute if everything goes fine. Okay, means first we have this 5 here and then we have this else statement. So if I run this one, you can see 5 first because here we are running this code here. And then this will skip because we don't have any error. And then this line of code will be executed because this else will be executed if everything is fine, which is we don't have any error, that nothing went wrong. Then we can also use finally here. Finally is like it will run irrespective of your situation. Okay, so we can use finally block here. Let's say we can mention here the try and accept is completed. Okay, first we don't have any error. So first we have this 5 here and then the try and accept is completed. If I remove this x equal 5, then we have this error. Okay, Then we have this variable x is not defined, which is this one. And then we have this finally block. Print the try and accept is completed. So finally will run every time your try or accept is completed. Okay, like whatever the situation is, whether it is a try or a accept, finally will always be executed. And else will only executed if your try block is execute. Okay. So it depends on you. Whatever you want to put, you can. It depends on your situation, like your program. Okay. Then we can also raise an exception. Okay, for example, let's say for example, we have this line. Let's say where this x equal -1. Okay, now if we can use if x is less than 0, then we can raise this particular exception, which is let's say sorry, no numbers below 0, like this. Okay, so we have this code of line will be executed. Okay, first we have this, now you can see we are raising an exception, which is like we are raising uh, a particular error, which is raise exception, which is sorry, no numbers below. Okay, and here we have this line of code. Okay, so this is how we can also raise an exception. It depends again on your use case. You can also use with the if or elif statements. Okay, you can choose now, like what is the purpose of raising an exception? You can raise your exception whenever you are checking your code. Okay, you are debugging your code. In that case, you can raise this particular exception. Okay, like if you are checking your entire code, then you can put these raise exception in your if statement, in your elif, or in your while loop or for loop, or you can also put in your classes or object. Okay. Then apart from the raise exception, you can also create your own error class. Okay, which is your user defined errors, or we can say exceptions. Now, how to define your user defined exception? So here we can create a class, let's say my error. Okay, let's say this one will take exception as a value. Then here we can use a constructor, which is def underscore underscore init. And here we can take a value. Okay, self init. So this will automatically initialize. And here let's say self dot value is your value here. Then second we can use, now here we have another constructor, which is known as def underscore underscore str. Okay, now what is the purpose of this str? Str is mainly for used for printing your value. Okay, that's it. That is like the main function of this str. It is mainly for printing your value. And here we can take self here, and then here we can return self dot value. Okay, like this. Okay, so this one is my class where I have this one. First, I am taking just one value, and then I am printing this value inside this str. Init for initializing, str for printing. Okay, so this will print the value. Simple. Then I can use try statement here. Try, and here I will raise your my error, which is your name of your class. Let's say now what is your value? Now this one is taking a value. So here let's say we can put 3 into 2 or any value. Okay, like you can mention anything. Then here we can use except block, which where we can take my error as error, and then we can simply print a new exception occurred. And then here we can print your error. and even your error dot value. Okay, so this will print your 6 here, which is a new exception occurred, and your 6 means 3 into 2, 6. Now, this is just an example. It is not an actual error. Okay, basically, the syntax I'm showing, like how you can create your own error. Now, instead of this 3 into 2, you can mention anything. You can mention any error. You can even write a code which will expect any other value, but the user is printing any other value. Then also you can create your own user-defined exception. Okay, so you can either create your own exception, or you can take exceptional from the Python building, whatever the exceptions we have in the Python. So it depends on the use case. If you think that there's any like error, which is like your program is like kind of extraordinary, or you need some extra errors, then you can create your own errors. Okay, like your own exceptionals. Okay, now your class name is my error, and here we are taking your exception. You can mention any value here, like anything, any piece of code you can mention. You can mention another error here inside this error, and then here we are just creating. It is just the structure I am creating. It is not actually. This is not like it depends on you. Like you can even mention your piece of code here. You want to check, okay, and then if everything goes fine, then this will this your try block will be executed. Okay. So it depends on your use case. Then next we have another keyword which is known as assert. Okay, which is known as assert keyword. So assert, or we can say assertion, is used whenever you are debugging your code. Okay, for example, let's say we have this x equal hello. So this is my string. Now here I can use assert. So here I'm taking x value hello, and now here I'm checking if x value is good y or whatever you want to check. If the value is hello, so your code will be executed. Otherwise, this will throw an error. Okay, so here we can, let's say, mention x should be uh, hello, like this. Okay, if I run this code, so here we have this error, which is x should be hello, because now x is basically what we are checking for the hello, but what giving here is good y here, or you can take any value here. So now this will throw an error. This is known as assertion error. So this assert keyword is mainly used for debugging a code. So you can use assert. You can also use this raise exception. It depends on your, again, use case. Okay, so it is like a one line error you can use. Okay, like for example, if you have a set of classes or programs or multiple programs you are running all together, then you can use this keyword. But keep on checking your each and every program. Okay. Yeah, here you can use assert as a keyword here, and then x, or your variable you want to check, or the condition here you want to check. You can use any condition here. It is just an example. So here you can use a condition, and then if your condition is true, then everything is okay. There's no error. But if your condition is false, then here you can mention like whatever you want to print if your condition is false. So if I want to write a syntax, I can use assert as a keyword. Then your condition here, whatever you are checking, comma, your error message. If there's any error, then your error message, otherwise no error. If I mention here hello simply, so this will not throw an error. Okay, no error, even nothing here, because everything is fine here. But if there's any error, then this line of code will be executed. Error message, which is assertion error. So again, it is like it is mainly used for debugging your programs. Here are two arguments. First, your condition, or you can also mention a group of conditions like using or and keyword. So first your condition, and second your error message.
Like it is mainly for debugging and for the simple line of code. For the complex, you can use try or except block. And if you don't find any error of your for your program, then you can create your own errors. Okay. So the most common like default errors we will like you will going to use in your like in your future programs, which are like syntax error, logical error, or built-in exceptions. Basically, we have many errors in Python. Let me show you. Give me a second. So here we have many errors, like we have assertion error, we have attribute error, we have UF error, floating point error, generator exit, import error, and then index error, key error, etc. Okay, so you can check this from the Python documentation. So we have these error. So if you want to check out how many errors are there or which error fits on your program, then you can pick up from here. Otherwise, if not, then you can create your own program, like own errors. Okay. So any questions? Okay. Now we can move to file operations. So what is file operation? Like what kind of operation we are performing with the file, and which file, which is the file which are inside our operating system. Like file operation, we can say, or we can say file handling. Like how we can help, how we can use files with our programs. Okay, so in the file operations, we have first open keyword. Open is for just opening your file. Okay, now this open function takes two arguments, or we can say two parameters. First parameter is what kind of operation you want to perform with your file. Okay, for the operations, there are like four operations or four different methods you can use. First, we have R for reading a file, A, see, A for appending into your file, W for writing into your file, and X for executing your file. Sorry, create your file. Okay, so this one is for reading your file. This is for appending into your file. This is for writing into your file, and this is for creating your file. Okay, we have two operations which we can perform. Also, we can open your file in two format. First format is T for test format. Okay, which is like a default format. Second, you can also open your file in a binary format. B means binary. Like if you want to open any image file, any other file format, then you can use binary format. Okay, like for the images, especially for the images. Okay, now how to use file handling. Then now what I will do, I will create a new folder. Okay, so here we have this file operation. Now I will open this folder inside my VS Code. So what kind of operations we can perform with the files? We can create files, we can update files, we can read files, we can delete files. Okay, basically we can perform crude operation. Create, we can update, we can read, and we can delete your files. Okay, so now we have this folder here. I will create a new file here. Let's say any file name. Let's say hello.py. Okay, my file name. Let me increase the font. Okay, now let's say now here I'm creating one more file here inside my folder. You can use this plus operation. Let's say my file name is um any file name demo.txt. So it is a simple txt file. Now inside my txt I can write here this is the demo file, right? Okay. Now I want to read this file demo.txt.
So how do I read? So here we can first create an object which is f equal open. Let's say I want to open demo.txt. Okay, like this. So this is how we can simply open your file. And now how to read your file. So here you can print f dot read. Okay, so if I run this program, you will notice this is a demo file. So this one is like the content written inside my demo file. Okay, so this is like the line written inside my demo file. So here I can open. Okay, so this is even you can simply open your file. You can leave this like this. But if you are opening your file means you are performing any operation, then you can read your file, you can write your file, you can read lines in your file, etc. Is it clear? Any questions? How we can open? So it is like very simple. You can simply open your file. Now let's say your file is on different location. So my file and my Python file, these are in same location. What if my file is in different location? So for that, let's say what I can do, we can read any file, any other file. I can create a one more file. Okay, here. Let's say demo2.txt. I have this file. So let's say if I'm mentioning this is the second demo file like this. Okay, now I can remove it. So this is my second demo file. Now this file is on my desktop. So what you can do, you can simply right click here, click on properties, and you can copy path from here. Here you have this location. So simply copy this, Control C. And then here you can paste your location. Okay. Paste here. And then here you can paste, you can mention here name of your file demo second.txt. Also, here you have to mention double slashes here. Okay, double slashes. So this is kind of compulsory. If I run this, you can see this is second demo file. So one thing is, if your file is in the same location, then you can simply mention your file name. If your file is in the different location, then you can simply right click on your file, click on your properties, copy your location and paste your location here with double slashes and then mention your file name. So this is when your file is in different location. Okay. Then here we can also mention how many characters I want to read. Let's say 5. If I mention 5 here, you can see this will print this plus space. If I run this, you can see this and plus space because in my file, in this file, if I open, okay, so here I have this 0. One second. Okay, so here we have this 4, like 4 characters and plus 5 is your space. That is why in the output we have 5 characters. This and your 1 space here. Okay, if I mention 10 here, so this read will read your number of characters. So this will read your 10 characters, including space. So even you can mention how many characters you want to read within your file. Even you can loop through your file. Okay, for example, we have this file here. And let's say in my file, which is this file, let's say I have some more character, let's say A, B, C, and so on. Okay, like some more lines. So you can loop through your file also. You can use here for X in your F, which is your this variable. Then here we can print your X here. Okay, now you can see all these lines have been printed. Okay, so we can simply loop through a file. Basically, there's one rule whenever you're opening your file, make sure to close your file. Closing your file is very important. Okay, because when you open your file and whenever you are reading your file or writing your file, so and if let's say you're making changes with in your file,
So those changes will not be saved whenever you are not closing your file. And even while you are opening your file or reading your file, like anything you are reading, and if you are not closing your file, so this may cause some harm to your file. Maybe there can be any integrity problem, or there can be any uh, like encryption problem. Okay, so closing your file is very important. Indexing is not, there's no indexing, it is starting from one only. Okay, like one, T is one, H is second, I is three, and so on. So indexing, there's no indexing. We are just counting the number of characters. Okay, with this keyword, with this line, we are counting the number of characters. Okay, for the for loop, there's no indexing. We are just keep on printing each line within the for loop. For example, this is line number one. We are printing. Then when I press enter, which is enter here, so this will take one more line, which is a new line. Means it is taking new line as a character also. Basically, your new line and your spaces are also count in your file. So this is first line, second line, third line, and fourth line. And with each and every line, we are counting a new line as well. Because when I press enter, I'm moving into new line. So that is also countable in your whenever you are reading your file. Yeah, X is fetching the whole line. First this line, second this line, third line, and fourth line, like this. So we are simply iterating over number of lines in your file. Okay, so this is how we can loop through. We can also use, instead of read, we can also use read lines here, like this. If I run this one, you can notice. Now you can see we have this read lines here, and then we have read here. We have two keywords here. If we print f dot read here. Now, what is the difference in read and read lines? So these read lines will print your like whatever the lines are there in your file in the form of a list. Okay, like you can see, we have three lines here, like four lines. First line is this one, second, third, and fourth, including your new line. So now this read line will keep on reading your line one by one and putting them in a form of list. So this is the first line plus your new line character, second line, third line, and fourth line. So this is putting in a form of list. And this read will, let me mention the difference here. So this will combine uh, strings display in the form of list. And this simple read. This will display everything, whatever is in your file, everything as a whole, as a single string. For example, here, if I run this line also, you can notice. So this is, let me remove this one. Okay, now you can see in this simple read, we are reading and this particular read function is taking everything as a single string. Now this entire content of a file is a single string here. But in the read lines, when we are reading the read lines, this will taking each and every line as a separate string, which is this is a first line as a separate string. This is a second line as a separate string, third line as a separate string, and fourth line as a separate string. Plus, this is keeping all together in a single list. So this is how it is working. Okay, so that is like the difference in read lines and read. Again, it depends on a use case. Whatever you want to use, you can use. Okay, both are efficient. So this is how we can open your file. Simple open, mention your path of your file or your name of your file. Secondly, character number. Okay, basically character number is you can count up to here, and then after this one you can count this line. Okay, like we have this 4 5 30 or 31, like this. Okay, basically read is taking your entire
whatever the content inside a file as a whole, which is new line is not countable here. But in the read lines, new lines are countable. Okay. Basically, spaces are countable in both, but in the read lines, new lines are also countable, but in the read, new lines are not countable. Okay. So that is like the difference in read and read lines. Now, how to close a file? Because closing is important. So you can simply use F equal. First, we will open a file. For opening, we can use name of your file. Let's say demo.txt. Okay, now let's say I want to read line. So let's say print. Let's say I want to read f dot read here. Okay, simple. And then I can close f dot close. So this is how we can close a file. So if I run this, you can see this is a demo file. So first we are opening, then we are reading. Now when you print here, print read again, f dot read, like this one. First we are opening a file, then we are reading, then we are closing, and then we are reading again without opening. So this will throw an error. Okay, because we have already closed the file. So this will throw an error. Okay, like we are performing input or output operation on a closed file. So for reading again, you have to open a file. Okay, so this is how efficient is closing a file. Okay, if you like make your file open, if you not mention this close, so anyone can read your file. Any malicious user can read your file within your program. So that is why closing is important. Like here, you can even mention your password for opening a file. And if you don't close your file, then anyone can read it without password, right? So closing is again very important. Now, how we can write into a file? So for writing into a file, we have two options. First, we can use W here. Yeah, W here for writing. So this will basically overwrite your content. For example, if I want to write this file, so whatever is written inside my this file, this will be removed and new content will be appeared. So this is overwriting. And appending is like if you want to append at last of your file. Okay, so that is like we can use append or write. So again, how we can write or append? Simply we can remove this part, or let me comment this part. Okay. Let's say I have opened this file. Now even you can mention like which in which format you want to open. Okay, like here I want to open this file to append a file. So here I'm mentioning A here. Even you can mention R here for reading a file. But reading is like a default option here. And with the reading, you can also mention T here. Okay, T means test file. Means we are reading a test file. Where it is here. If you are reading any image, then you can mention B here for binary. So by default, test is there. So it is not compulsory to mention T here. Even R is also by default here. But if you're performing any other operation, then you have to mention A here or W or whatever you are performing, which means I am appending this file. Okay, then I can use F dot write. Now let's say I want to write in this file, which is demo, this file. Now let's say I want to add any other line. Let's say now this is the second line. Okay, if I save it, now I can read my file, which is f dot read here. Basically, let me print this line. Okay, so I'm printing it at here. And then I can close it. Okay, just f dot close. So if I run this one, you will notice two lines. Okay, we have this error. Sorry, we have to open this again for reading. Okay, we have to open this again for reading because here I am performing appending operation. And for appending, I cannot read as it is. So let me remove it. Okay, first we can write. Okay, we can append. So this will not give you any output, but when you check your file, you can see this is your first line. Okay, and this is your second line, which is appended in your line. Now this is second line. Now this is second line. Basically, I have run this application two times. If you want to add a new line, then you can use a escape sequence here.
Okay, so you can mention a new line here. I think this is, let me run this again. No, I think we have to mention the backlash. Yeah, backlash. Yeah, we have to mention the backlash here. And then if I save it, yeah, closing file will automatically save your file. Okay. So you can see now this is in the second line. Okay, so you can also mention this escape secrets here. Backlash n. Okay, so this is how we can append into any file. Now you can see appending means we are adding at last of your file. So this is like keep on adding at last of your file. Okay, now when you like use write here, which is W here. Okay, now I'm writing into a file. So this write will overwrite everything inside my file. Okay, let's say I want to change this line. Oops, I can write here. Okay. If I run this one, you will see no output, but here you can see oops. So this is like overwriting your file. So make sure whenever you want to use write and when you want to use append. Overwrite, this W will overwrite your file and this A will append into your file. Okay, so this is very important. Otherwise, you will make changes in your file. So please practice on your any practice file. Okay, so first, this is how we can write. Now we can open your file again. Just f dot open and name of your file. Sorry, f equal open. Let's say my file name's demo dot txt. Now here I want to read a file, so I can use print f dot read. Now I can read my file and then again I can close it. So closing is important. And if I run this line, you can use oops. Okay, so whatever is in your file. So let's say if I want to change this line, let's say changed. Okay, like this, changed. And if I run this again, now this oops will override and changed will be present in a file. If I run this, you can see changed. And if you see your original file, you can see changed here. So this is how we can write. Now, but if you mention A here, which is appending, and here let's say second change. Okay, and if I run this file, you will notice this keyword and then another keyword, which is second change. Okay, you can see if I run this, changed and second change. And even you can mention a new line here, like this. Let's say now here we can mention third change. Third change. So this is your third change. Okay, then, so it is important to close your file. Is it clear? Any questions? Any questions? Now, how to create a file? No, you can read any file. Basically, you can use TST file, you can read images also. Okay, and basically for reading different files, we have different functions. File operation is this is like a simple file operation which you can perform with the help of TST. Basically, you can read any other file, but it is like a kind of a simple operation we are performing. Let's say you want to read CSV file or JSON file or TSV file, then you can use pandas in that case. Okay, if you want to read any image file or if you want to read any Excel file, then you can use different Python function. Like you can use pandas in that case. Okay, so basically we can read files with the help of this simple operation like any file. But for reading different types of file with different functions in Python, like different libraries. For example, you want to read PPT. So you can read PPT. You can perform operations with the help of PPT. You can even automate PPT with the help of Python. For that, we have different function. Okay. So for different files extension, we have different Python libraries and functions. So this is how we can read, right?
and append file. Now how to create a file? So if you want to create, so simply we can use here f equal open. Now here I can mention my file name I want to create. Let's say new file I want to create. Okay, for creating we have two options. Either we can use this X here for creating, or we can use this W for creating. W will also create your file if not exist. Okay, for example, let's say I will use W here. Let's say I want to write also in this particular file, hello, like this. And then I am simply closing my file. So if I run this program, you will notice a new file will be created. You can see new file. And here we have this hello here. Okay. New file .txt you can mention. Okay. So you can also use W here, and also you can use X here for creating a file. Okay. For example, if I use X here, now this will throw me the error because new file is already exist. So this will throw the error, which is file exist. So let me create new file 1.txt. So this will create a new file. You can see new file 1.txt. So there's a difference in creating. So this will throws the error if file exists. And this will create a file if not exist, and also write into it. And if the file is there, then this will simply override the file. Okay, so that is like the difference in writing and creating. So you can also create a file with the help of writing, which is W, or you can also create a file with the help of X. Okay. Then how we can delete your file? For example, I want to delete this file, new file 1.txt. So for removing, I can import OS. Okay, import OS means import. Now with the help of importing OS, now we can access many Python functions which we can use for operating the operating system. Okay, like we can perform some certain operations with the help of this OS module. Let's say here I can use os.remove, and here I can mention my file name. Let's say I want to remove new file 1.txt. If I run this file will be disappeared. Okay, now you can see file is disappeared from here. And here now we can check if there's any file exist or not with the help of OS. Like we can use if os dot path dot exist, and here we can mention your file name. Let's say demo.txt, and or you can also mention the file path. Okay, if your file is in different location, but here my file is in the same location as my Python file, so I'm not mentioning the location. Then we can use os.remove. So if file exists, then remove file. If not, else print file does not exist. Simple. So if I run this code, you will notice file is removed. But if I run this code again, then I will have this error, like else statement. So file does not exist. Same I can perform with this file in this demo. So what I can do, I can copy this path here. Control C. And then I can paste my path here. Okay, wait, double slashes, backlash. And here I can mention my file name, which is file name demo second. And same as I can mention the same path inside here. So basically I'm removing this file demo. Okay, so here it is. Now if I run this code, you can see the file is removed from here. Okay, no file here. But if you run this again, then you will have this else statement, which is file does not exist. So if your file is in different location, then you have to mention the entire path. If your file is in same location, then just mention your file name.
Okay, same as we can delete the folder. This, let's say I'm creating another folder here. Um, okay, let's say this new folder 3. So right click here, copy the path. Okay, and let me comment. So here we can import OS, and then here you can use os dot rm dir, which means remove directory, and then mention your path where directory is located. So, and name of a directory, new, new. Okay, let me check the file. Okay, new folder 3, and here we can use backlash. So this will remove your folder. So again, you can run this, and here you can see folder is removed. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay. So this one more thing. Now let's see here. Whenever we want to read any file, write any file, we have to keep on closing this file. Like you have to keep on mentioning f dot close, close everywhere. So what if we can automate this one? Through a specific line, like which line? Line number 1, 2, or 3, or the entire lines. Which lines? Any line. Any line or all the lines. That there's a difference. Any one line. Okay, so in that case, you can simply mention your range in your for loop. Okay, you can mention your range. Or you can, whenever you are reading any file, you can mention how many characters you want to read. So there you can mention in the for loop. Okay, like you can use for x in f, print f dot read lines, and you can mention line number 1. Okay. Then you can mention how many characters you want to read. Or if you want to read one line, then you can simply use read lines. Okay, like this line, read lines. Like for example, if let me show you, we have this new file. Inside new file we have hello. Let's inside new file we have this by here. Okay, now if I want to read this file, f dot open new file, and if I f dot read lines. Okay, and here we can simply use print. Okay, so this will read my first line and second line. Then here, what you can do, you can simply store this list in a variable, list1 equal. And then what you can do, you can simply print the first element of a list underscore 1, and then zeroth element. Then this will show you hello only, hello. Okay, so this is how you can read one line or any number of lines within your new file or any file. Okay, basically you can store your, after all this one is like a list. The output is a list. So whatever the output we are storing inside a variable, and then we can use indexing to access lines. Then with keyword, now what is the benefit of using with keyword? With the with keyword, you don't need to close every time. Okay, it is like automate process.
So here you can use with open. Then here you can mention your file you want to open. Let's say new file again. Okay, comma. What kind of operation you want to perform? Here I want to read a file. Okay, and then here we can use, let's say, file lines equal. Let's say I want to read mm, new file dot read lines, or I can use read here, and then I can print the lines. I think I have to create one more value. What we can do is you don't need to create another variable. We can mention here, let's say if file, and then we can simply print file dot read and whatever we want to read here. Okay, so here we can have hello or bye. So basically, with this keyword, it is not necessary to close your file. Okay, whenever you are using with keyword, it is like automating a process. It is opening your file, reading your content, or performing your operation, and then closing your file automatically. So while using with keyword, you can save your one line, which is f.close. Like every time you want to write or perform anything. Same as here, you can write anything in the lines. Like here, you can f file dot write here, and let's say here you can mention hello again, and here you can just change append here if you want to append. Okay, and then again you can read your file unsupported. Okay, you have to remove this line. Okay, so here in this file here this hello, bye, and then hello again and hello again. Okay, and if you want to read your file, then again you can use with open and simply mention your file name, new file. Now here you can perform this R operation, which is read as f and then f dot read lines, and you can simply print this one. Okay, so here with this hello, why hello again three times, because we have executed this code three times. Okay, so you can also use this syntax, or you can also use this syntax. Like these are same. You can read your file, you can close it, but here you don't need to close your file again and again. Okay, you can simply open your file, perform your operation. That's it. So with keyword will automatically save and close your file. Even with keyword is more efficient than this keyword f.close. Because what if you forget to close your file? So this will like maybe this can change your integrity of your file, make changes in your file, or corrupt your file or anything. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, so that's it for today. We have covered classes and objects, and what else? Yeah, classes and objects, exceptional handling, and file operations. So now we are left with two modules, which is regex, which is regular expressions, and one more modules like how we can create our own modules and packages. So these are left, and with that, we will complete the entire Python core. Okay. So any questions? Class tomorrow, that I will ping you on WhatsApp. Okay, I will share the class details for tomorrow. By tomorrow morning. Okay, like there's like a 50-50 chances. If not tomorrow, then we will continue on Monday. So these are like three important concepts which we have covered. So kindly practice on these concepts. Okay. Or I will share some questions on these like file operations, exceptional handling, and classes and objects. So any other question? Any doubt? Okay, so rest we will continue on Monday or tomorrow. I will ping you on WhatsApp. So again, guys, thank you for attending the session. For the recorded session, you can like contact Jiten sir. Okay, I will share the number in the group. For the recorded session, you can ping him. Okay. Okay. Thank you.